How you doing? This is Melvin Brown. Welcome back to Melvin Brown Experience. Today is not going to be a topic, but today is going to be another story time. So I remember it was the year 2021. I'm just minding my business. I believe I was at Penn's Landing, just minding my business. I like to look at the view at Penn's Landing. So I remember I got a phone call, and I answered because it was one of my cousins. And one of my cousins was like, yo, Mel. I'm like, yo, what's up? Yo, you need to check this shit the fuck out. I'm like, what's going on? Yo, go on this social media site on Instagram and see the link. You gonna see some shit. I said, all right, cool. He was like, Melvin, this shit gonna surprise you. I said, all right. Send me the link. So, I see the link. It's a picture of a good family friend, mugshot, or ID card on this website, and it say, wanted for murder. So I'm like, oh shit. So I called my cousin back, like, yo, this shit true? He's like, yeah. I'm like, wanted for murder, bro. That shit fucking crazy. I just seen her last week. She was chilling. So all I know is out of nowhere, months go by. Now, she was caught. The marshals was not playing with her. So when she got caught, this shit was on the news. So my cousin called me. Yo, check the news. I'm like, all right, cool. So I watched the news. Turned out she was connected to a crime that took place in Philadelphia. And this crime was so fucking serious that this shit hit 5 million views on the local news. That's how serious it was. Now, I don't know what it was. Let's fast forward. So, I get a phone call, and it's Jane Doe mom on the phone talking to me. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck did your daughter do? She tried to explain. Yo, my daughter did not do nothing. It was an act of self-defense. And I ain't gonna get in details and everything because that article was very popular. But I'm just gonna say, like, yo, it really wasn't that serious. Like, somebody lost their life. Melvin, can you save my daughter? I said, look, first of all, your daughter is on a high-profile murder case. I cannot help your daughter. Second of all, your daughter did some crazy shit. It seemed like reading this article, she acted out of emotion and not logical. I am not going to have your daughter walk free. She's going to have to do some time regardless. So the mom trying to cop pleas, like, but Melvin, what about this time? What about that time? I said, I understand. But at the end of the day, a life was taken. At the end of the day, she has to go through a balance. And the mom was like, what you mean by the balance? I said, luckily, Pennsylvania do not have the death penalty. The most I could probably do for her, I can give her life, 25 to life, and it is what it is, depending on the universe. So she was so overwhelmed when I told her that. She was like, but Melvin, is there something else? I said, look, you got to understand. I'm going to repeat myself again. Your daughter took a life that is very unbalanced. And it wasn't out of self-defense. It was out of revenge. If I do something, the universe might not agree to it. And some shit I have to go through because I try to take somebody out they fucking karma debt. You don't understand. And she's like, Melvin, can you see what you can do? I said, I don't know what I can do. I'm not going to talk about the case, but the case was so viral. Like, it was viral. But I'm going to keep on telling the story. So I remember her brother came to me like, yo, Mel, can you do something? I paid this amount of money, that amount of money, this amount of money. And I said, yo, I'm not doing the case. If I do it, I have to put a balance involved. At the end of the day, a life was taken. So I said, yo, with the money that you're offering me, once you go find a lawyer, there's plenty of lawyers that would take this case. And one thing about criminal justice, if you do a crime, money talks in the city of Philadelphia. Money talks basically around the whole world, but in Philadelphia justice system, Money, money, money talks. I say, yo, use that money, find a lawyer. So months go by, the brother called me. They got a good lawyer. I said, all right, cool. So I forgot all about it. I'm living my life and I'm working on other cases. I remember probably a year and a half ago, I bumped into her sister because she was my Uber driver. So me and the sister just talking, and the sister telling me everything what the fuck went the fuck on. So basically what wound up happening was the sister told me the inside scoop of what the fuck went down. So basically she was sexually assaulted and attacked. And the attack was vicious. She literally got pistol whipped. And after healing and recovering and everything, months go down, she finds out the same person that sexually assaulted her and pistol whipped her is right down the street, chilling. She got overly emotional. She called her cousins up and her friends up because they love her. And she didn't know how real it was going to get. And when shit got too real, let's just say an innocent bystander was caught in a crossfire. It wasn't even the person that they was looking for. See, the problem is with people is when you do something, you have to be logical. You just don't think on emotional and you just pull up and do what you gotta do. That's how people get hurt. You gotta strategize. So I'm hearing the story and I'm like, okay, but at the end of the day, your sister took an innocent life away. How can I get her out this situation if I decide to take the case? Melvin, just take the case, please. I'm like, I understand, but I cannot take the case. She's like, Melvin, what can I do? I said, you can't do nothing because at the end of the day, like I told your mom, yo, this is universal karma. I am not stepping forward into this. This was not fucking justified. Bro, I was on my way to a nice park just to relax and chill. When she dropped me off, she didn't pull off and drive off. She stopped her Uber job and come outside and talk to me for like 2 more hours. And I kept on telling her, no, no, no. So a few months go by, and I remember I had one of my good friends. She's like a great tarot reader. And I was like, yo, can you read on this case? She's like, yeah. I said, first of all, before you even read me, read this article. I send her the link. She's like, Melvin, do you know this girl? I'm like, yeah, I know this girl. She's like, oh my God. Let's do the reading. So we do the reading. Somehow, some way, she was kind of justified in what she did, but she wasn't justified. So she has to go through a hardcore lesson. And basically, I can jump in it without any repercussions, but you gotta play fair when you do this. So I said, all right, cool. Remind you, when cases like that happened in 2021, I believe, or 2020. So the case got pushed back all the way to 2024. Before 2024 happened, I did a fucking ritual because people kept on getting on my motherfucking nerves. I ain't tell nobody I was gonna do it. I wasn't gonna do it out of money. I was gonna do it because she was a good childhood friend. So basically how the ritual went was, is she right? She gets to walk free. If she's wrong, she gets to stay. If she's fair, she gotta have a fair sentence. Something that can balance her karma. Now, when you do little rituals like that, you don't think the shit gonna work. You just think the shit just gonna fade away or just like, get ignored. But the funny part about it, the universe answered. So, let's talk about the events that happened. So the person that did it took the rap and said, yo, I did it. She just said somebody was down there. She did not orchestrate nothing. I'm taking the rap. The other people said, fuck it, I'm taking the rap. They all took the rap. So what wound up happening in the year 2023 or 24, she wound up, got offered from the DA to plead third-degree murder. And if she did not take that plea, she was going to have a fair trial. Now, the funny part about all this shit was, at first, all the people that took the rap had a fair trial. They all got Tom Brady football numbers. And they would never see daylight, never again. Now, the DA gave this woman a plea deal, take third-degree murder. So, she only had about a couple days to make her decision before a trial starts. I didn't talk to her not one time. But her sister did call me and said she's going to take the plea. Now, since it was kind of fair, she got sentenced to 5 to 10 years. And she already served time. So she only, 5 to 10 years? She served about, 3 years. She be out within 2 more years or 3 more years. But she be out soon. But if she act up in jail, she going to have to do the whole time. So when I did that, it was a fair situation, but at the end of the day, a life was taken. At the end of the day, you just can't be out here crashing out on anybody without repercussions, because sometimes spiritual workers not going to do it, or sometimes if they do it, it's going to be an exchange. And I don't want to talk about the exchange because the exchange is super deep of a deal, but at the end of the day, you gotta keep your emotions in check. I understand some chaos, tragic happen in your life, but it's different ways you can go about it besides putting your life in danger or putting your freedom in jeopardy. This is Melvin Brown. This is the Melvin Brown Experience. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe. I'm out.